Milo, is that you?
There, I think I got it. Well, it used to be the Savannah RPM.
All right.
Savannah, Georgia.
Georgia.
And now it is the Macon, Georgia RPM.
Macon used to have the AHL, or they used to have a hockey team.
They did it.
Whoopee.
That's right. They did. Did you know? And I discovered this the other day. We're going to bore our fans for quite a while now. But I discovered this the other day that
on the free channel or the pay channel?
This is on the free channel. So
and they get what they get.
Yeah, that's right. They get what they get.
If you don't want this, pony up the T-shirt amount, and you don't get this.
Exactly. You don't have to listen to this.
You get a variation of it, but you don't get the whole thing.
And as a matter of fact, I was messaging with our buddy, the editor of Railroad Model Craftsman, the magnificent Railroad Model Craftsman, which I consider to be the premier magazine in the hobby now.
I just got a couple issues in the mail today. Now that the postal strike in Canada is over.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Canada, 1 little, 2 little, 3 little Indians.
Yeah, Bobby Gimby. There
we love you. That was like from... So anyways, there used to be the International Hockey League.
Yes, the IHL.
Yes, well, it apparently went defunct because I was looking at the AHL schedule there. I don't know why. Well, our buddy, the professor, Brad Williamson's always sending me pictures from Wilkes-Barre or Wilkes-Barre. I say, yeah, where he's always watching the Wilkes-Barre Penguins of the AHL.
Yes.
So, and then we were talking, and one night the Marlies beat them. The Toronto Marlies, which is our home team. And so I started kind of just paying a little bit of attention to the AHL, the American Hockey League, which is the minor leagues for the NHL, the National Hockey League. And then I noticed that there are Western teams. There's a Western Conference in the AHL. Yes. Well, all those teams used to be in the IHL. But the IHL went defunct in 2019.
Yeah.
So now the AHL is a 32-team league with teams across North America.
Exactly.
Which is something that has only come to light for me in the last month or so.
Well, there you go. It's been a learning experience.
It has been a learning experience. Speaking of hockey, I've been paying attention to our beloved Toronto Maple Leafs lately.
With the excellent goaltender you're getting from Mr. Wall. Holy moly!
I have a question for you.
Yes.
I completely understand why you prefer the Detroit Tigers over the Toronto Blue Jays.
Mm-hmm.
Because you grew up just moments.
I grew up south of Detroit, yes. South of the border.
Mere feet from Detroit.
Yeah.
Less than 5,000 feet.
Actually, it's just over 5,000. It's about a mile across the river, so close enough.
And so I understand the whole Detroit Tigers thing, but what is it with? How come not the Detroit Red Wings?
Because years ago, this be in I think even into the 70s sometime. If the Detroit Red Wings were playing a home game on a Saturday night at the same time the Leafs were playing, we would not get the Leafs coverage until about halfway through the game because the protectionism of the Red Wings. So, so I want to watch my Leafs play whoever, and instead of I don't think we even got a feed until halfway through the Leafs game, and then they would pick up the feed from the beginning of the game. So we're watching like a 30-minute delay time on it or so. So
I don't think that. I don't think that explains to me. Okay, so it was Detroit was fouling up the Toronto Maple Leaf feed.
They were calling their protectionism, and they didn't want the Leafs competing with the Detroit boys who are also playing at the same time. So
okay.
But I have been to a couple games at the old Olympia and a couple games at the Joe. I haven't been to the Pizza Oven yet, but
I have. I've made it to the Joe twice.
Yep.
And I haven't made it to the new one, and I never made it to the Olympia. What was the Olympia? The Olympia?
The Olympia.
Olympia. the Olympia Arena for the Detroit. So the reason we're doing this intro, and we're also going to do an outro, because for one thing, because we love Rapido trains.
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
Rapido trains, your fast track to model railroading fun.
Is because I'm fighting with the new recording software.
Oh, no. In this corner, weighing in at an excruciating pain level, the new recording software.
Yeah, exactly. So this is an interview with Daniel Banks, and it was going to be a dual interview with Daniel Banks, and then we're going to have, it's an all-star variety hour, and it was also going to have Craig Drenko.
Right.
So when I listened to the Daniel Banks one, my microphone wasn't working at all.
Oh.
But I did pick it up on the computer microphone. So while in fact the audio is quite, it's easy, it's very listenable.
Yes.
All the guests' audio is excellent. My audio is
not so much.
It's not so excellent.
It's marginally adequate.
It's marginally adequate, is what it is, because you can hear it. It's clear. There's no problem hearing me, but it sounds like I'm got my head in a bucket.
But you don't have those dulcet, deep voice bass sounds of the old FM stations.
Yeah, exactly. Which is what I hope I have now.
Yeah.
It says it's working.
Yeah, well, is it telling you the truth?
Yeah.
Should we take a pause and find out?
Yeah. Nah, we'll keep going.
Just roll the dice and go. All right.
Yeah.
Boy.
I think I'm slowly figuring it out. I think part of the problem has been for the last 5 or 6 years, I've been using this software, and you never had to adjust it. I would literally turn it on. And me being somewhat of a tardy, not necessarily always on time, the studio might have several members of the show, what we were going to record, already in it, and I would just jump in front of the computer, turn on the software, and boom, away we went.
Right.
Well, now I realize I got to take a little bit more time and make sure it's all working before I go into the studio.
Uh-huh.
So that's where we're at right now. So this particular show only is Daniel Banks. So
it's a Daniel Banks solo show.
Yeah, it's an all-star variety hour without variety.
There you go. There's no variety. It's just an all-star hour.
Yes, there's literally no variety in this show.
Huh.
It's just Daniel Banks. But it's a very interesting interview because Daniel is like one of these guys that speaks up, and he's quite interesting.
He is certainly keen on the hobby and helping people want to enjoy it more, that type of stuff.
Yeah. And in the beginning of this particular interview, it's you and I arguing. Well, it's mostly me arguing with you about how to figure out roof pitch.
Yes, I remember that.
And I'm listening to this and I'm thinking, well, I'm just going to edit that out, but I rarely edit anything out. And so it's us arguing about roof pitch, which seemed like after about 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, it seemed like a pointless argument. And it made no sense to me, like why I was driving that point home. And then I realized listening to me argue with you about roof pitch was like listening to chalk on a blackboard.
Oh, there you go.
Not from your end, from my end. I just wouldn't shut up. So that's.
But now, did you cut it or no?
No, I left it in.
Well, that's good because that gives us bonus content for the variety hour.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's all part of the same interview. So anyway, so that's what that is, and then we also discuss chocolate bacon.
Yes,
one of the highlights of the show. We talk about Brandy's. There's this gal in Rochelle. Is it Rochelle?
Oh, yeah, Rochelle.
Rochelle, Illinois, and she was our waitress at the last barbecue out there, and she has a little business where she makes fancy desserts. So we talked about that. And then we discovered that Daniel has a modeling business where he started making laser cut kits. And we also discovered that his way of doing it is to only make the kits the night before the show.
Which seemed a little odd, but that was his first go. So
yeah, he seemed intent that on the way to do it was to make all the kits and the instructions the night before the show, which he realized was not perhaps necessarily the way to go in the future. And there's plenty of talk about how he belongs. He's the superintendent of his division, and things like that. But there's other highlights of the show, but that's basically it.
Here we go.
Let me see. He's on the board of directors for the Central Indiana Division. Well, the CID website. And he's the clinic manager, chairman. He's the Central Indiana, Central Indiana Division of the NMRA. He is the superintendent. He appears to be the clinic chairman, the contest manager, the social media webmaster, and the track talk assistant.
That's quite the list of accomplishments.
Yeah, he's got a whole pile of stuff that he's doing. There's other guys too. There's there's Philip Burnside and John Coy and Priscilla Roderick and Dan Heinel, Hinel, Steve Johnson, and it goes on and on and on. I can't remember what Dan's model building business was called, so I apologize for that, Dan, but we do talk about it at great length. So I think after one more of these, Rapido Trains.
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
If it's N, if it's H-O, the fast track is Rapido.
We'll just go right into it.
Okay.
And we'll find out if the software worked.
See, it's cool now, too, because Rapido is doing Toronto TTC subway cars.
Yeah.
So now there's you can bring that in. Rapido subway chimes go.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Subway chimes go. Or Rapido subway chimes go. Or just Rapido go. Or subway chimes go. And whatever you want. Pick whatever you want. And I apologize for the audio, but it's quite listenable, and it's an enjoyable show, and it's on the free channel. So if you want quality,
perfect,
you got to go over. You got to join up on. Did I tell you that I'll tell you at the end.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, I can look forward to that now. Give me something to look forward to.
That's right.
I'm just expressing my opinion. That's
okay. Well, now I'll express my opinion.
Look out.
Here we go.
Everybody
hold on.
I got my seatbelt on.
We'll have our guest stay in the green room until we introduce him.
Yeah.
And then there he's making a noise already. And then in case you guys were talking about how to create a pitch, to figure out how to create a certain pitch on a roof for a model,
yeah,
we could talk about that.
Okay.
Because I know once you were talking about it to Scott as well.
Yep.
The table master.
And I did throw an example of it up on the fans page. So
did you?
Actually, there's a couple of examples of various things to do on the fans page. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And so like if somebody was asking you how to figure out how to create a certain pitch on a roof, they could come to you and you would explain it to them.
Absolutely.
Right. So how do you create it? Like how do you create a 30-degree pitch on a roof?
Well, it's not so much creating a pitch on the roof. It's taking the an end view of a building that you see the roof line on it, and then finding out what that actual length is, so you can create a full-size template to figure out what the actual size of that roof piece is. So you need the length of the building or the width of the building? You need both, because you know how long the roof is, and this one's a pretty simple one, but it gets more complex when you're looking at. You can imagine if you're looking at a gabled roof on a building, then you've got that valley. So this is a perfect technique you can use to figure out what size that piece of the gable roof has to be, so you can cut it right the first time without thinking around.
Well, why would you need to know the length of your, I would see how you understand you need the width of the building, but why would you need the length of the building to create the proper pitch?
Because when you're looking at the front view or the side view, you don't know what the actual true length of that line of the valley is.
No, but if you're just creating a basic, say there's no valley in it, it's just it's a 12 by 20 shed.
Yeah.
12-foot wide, 20-foot long shed. You don't need to know the length of the building to create the angle of attack for the roof.
No, but if you want to make a pattern of the roof, you need to know what that length along the roof is from the ridge to the eave.
The ridge to the eave.
Yep.
What's the eave?
That's the outer edge of the roof.
Okay.
That's where your eave strap's attached to.
I'm confused. Why would you need to know the length of the building? Like if you got a 12-foot wide building and you want the center of the roof to be 6 feet high.
Yep.
Why would you need to know the length of the building to create that particular roof? Like it's like this trusses are.
Well, because you're gonna build the thing, and you might want to know how long you have to make it to build it.
We already know it's 20 feet long.
Yeah.
Brad.
Yes, Lionel.
You're quite the woodsman.
Okay.
I don't understand why you'd need to know the length of the building to create a truss. Like I
don't think you would for a single truss. No,
not for a truss, but for if you're building
you would need to know the length to know how many trusses you need to span that length.
Yeah, exactly. But that's not what you were talking about, wasn't it? Were you talking about the pitch of the roof? Like if it's the degree of the pitch, like if it's a 6 foot high, if you're looking at the truss and the building's 12 feet wide and the center of the ridge is 6 feet high.
Yeah, that'll get you the correct pitch for the trusses. I agree. Yes. Yeah. But I think Bruce is creating an entire 3D model of the whole structure. Is that right, Bruce?
More or less. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's more valuable, this technique, if you're doing dormers than, anything else.
This is the dormer technique.
This is the dormer technique.
So how would people get a hold of you, Bruce, in order to get your assistance on this?
Message me through, or throw some message up on the fans
page. On the fans page. Yeah. So anybody that needs help with creating a pitch or calculating stuff for, pitches and stuff like that. And we certainly don't need to see a picture of it because it's audio.
Yeah, it's audio, but that shows how it's a valuable thing with the plan view and the front view, how you can come up with the actual shape of that dormer, so when you cut it out, it fits in perfectly.
But we're still talking about the 12 foot wide by 20 foot building. Yeah. The point of the exercise is we've chewed up 5 minutes and 30 seconds of podcasting. We're on a particular subject that you guys said was of no interest to the outside world or couldn't be discussed on a podcast. And I think I've conclusively
confirmed that is the case.
So, in other words, this whole thing was just proving that you were right. It wasn't really about figuring out the pitch of the roof.
There you go. Bingo.
Okay.
Fair point. I thought we were being have.
Just one time, I'd love to come into the studio and have you guys talking about nothing.
Remember the time you came in and we all were just moving our lips and you thought your sound wasn't working? Would you prefer that?
Yeah, that was your idea. That was that was so funny.
Can I plead new guy status? It seems like a good time to do so.
I thought you were in the green room.
You're digging yourself in deeper and deeper.
I thought he was in there checking out the festive shrimp tree that we just put up.
Supposed to be. It's a first-time guest, and he's already stepped into the studio.
We recently learned that those shrimp have fermented into having some sort of hallucinogenic effect or something too. That I think it was Derek Manata said, or is that how his name's pronounced? Manata.
I thought it was. I always say Derek Magnata. Yeah,
Magnata. Yeah, I think he said that on one of his podcasts. Magnata. You're right.
It's like the wine company up here.
How do you pronounce it? How did you pronounce it, Brad?
I forgot the G. I just said M-A-N, Magnata. It is Magnata, though. You're right.
I like Manata better. Maybe he's
should we tell him that he's been saying his name wrong?
Yeah, he's been pronouncing his name wrong.
All right.
Derek just signed up recently as a Patreon member too, so that he can get twice as much podcasting a week.
I think what sold him though was playing the "Dude, Where's My T-Shirt" game.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's sweeping.
Come for the podcast, stay for the T-shirts.
Yep.
Come for the podcast, stay for the people. Somebody came up with that saying, and I actually wrote that one down because that's a beauty. Come for the podcast, stay for the people. And tonight's podcast is a perfect example of that, because there is absolutely no reason to talk to this person other than he's personable, and he joined the podcast, and Bruce and I first met him in Rochelle, Illinois, and one of the very first things I ever remember him saying was we were sitting at the table at our favorite restaurant. What's that restaurant called, Bruce?
Stone.
Stone?
Something Stone.
Something Stone.
And Brandy doesn't work there anymore.
It doesn't really matter. That's not really.
Well, she made some good bacon, chocolate-covered bacon.
Absolutely, chocolate-covered bacon. That could be a podcast right there, just talking about chocolate-covered bacon.
There you go.
So tonight's guest is a fella named Daniel Banks, who I really know nothing about other than he seems to be very enthusiastic about the hobby of model railroading. And
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Which feed are we on?
We are on the podcast feed.
Okay. Yes, okay.
We don't know. You know what? Well, let's go with the free channel.
Okay.
Rapido Trains.
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
So anyways, Bruce Kelly and I, Kelly, the modeler simply known as Kelly.
Name's Kelly.
Did you guys hear an echo?
Echo?
I heard something.
This is great.
Actually, it's not. It's terrible podcast.
Oh, I don't think so. I think we're the best podcast going
in the world.
Yes, definitely.
Period.
Absolutely.
You know what I think we are? I said this on another podcast. I think maybe, I don't know who else was there. There was other people there. As there usually is. And I decided some time ago, trying to figure out where we fit in, because so many other podcasts are about A, themselves, or B, ballasting track. And we're more entertaining, and I think what we are is we're the late night version of Model Railroad Podcast.
Man, where do we hear that before?
So we'd be the ones that come on after the Tonight Show, the late night show.
No, that is late night. Carson was late night TV.
Oh, well, but there was the show after him. That was later.
That's like the minor leagues. We are the Carson of Model Railroad Podcast.
So not Howard Stern anymore.
Yeah, that too.
Okay.
Yeah, that too, I think. I know. I just. But then when I thought of that, I thought, what we got to get is Mr. Jingles to come up with a theme song, like Johnny Carson had.
Doc Stevenson. Dave will become our Doc Stevenson.
There you go. Yeah.
Mr. Jingles.
Mm.
That's a perfect name. That's one of the greatest nicknames in all of AML land.
Yep.
All right, Daniel, come on into the studio. We've killed 11 minutes and 20 seconds.
Hi, guys.
There you go.
Hello.
Welcome, Daniel.
Very late on his feet.
I don't like shrimp, and I really didn't like whatever that is in the green room. That should have been thrown out a long time ago, guys.
Wow.
Is that the sofa? The sofa?
The sofa should have been checked long time.
That's the kind of guest. That's the kind of guest I like. He comes on to the show, and the first sentence out of his mouth is, "I don't like your snacks. I don't like your."
I just wonder we got Don Rickles on here by mistake.
Yeah. I don't like your hors d'oeuvres.
And speaking of on here, who do we have on here tonight?
We have Bruce, the moderately agitated mail boy.
Yes, sir.
We have Kelly, the modeler simply known as Kelly.
Good evening.
And we have the stubby professor.
Hello, AML land.
We don't usually introduce our co-host because I'm not very good at podcasting. Most really good podcasts will go. Tonight we're joined by, but that would be a really good.
Tonight's podcast is brought to you by the letters.
Yeah. So then, Daniel, the next thing I discovered about you is you are a superintendent in a particular NMRA division.
I am indeed. I am the superintendent for the Central Indiana Division.
Right. Which is somewhere near Indianapolis, incorporates Indianapolis.
Yeah, it's I'm sure this will be a topic for this evening, but it is.
Holy moly! What time out here?
Well,
wait a minute.
Well,
Daniel, do you mind if we just the four of us is going to
Do we need to huddle up here?
Yeah, we're going to have to.
I'm about to be in timeout.
We're gonna, guys, let's huddle up here. So far, let's see. The first two things out of this guy's mouth is he doesn't like our hors d'oeuvres or our snacks, what we have to offer our guests. And the second thing comes out of his mouth is he starts telling us what's going to be on the show.
That's why I'm reading this.
Yeah. Holy mackerel! This could be a short one.
He's got huspa. He's got spunk. He's got spunk.
He's got spunk. I hate spunk.
Should we give out the email address now?
Yeah, let's give out the email address.
Kind of icky.
Yeah. He's making us. So this podcast is either A on the free channel, B on the Patreon channel, or C in the trash can.
Wow.
And that's a multiple choice test.
There you go. Exactly.
Another one.
What's the pattern on that one, Brad?
I think right now it's leaning towards option C, but I don't know.
Okay. So you're saying there is a chance?
Yeah. So there is a number.
A couple of B's, a few C's, a couple of D's, and don't be stingy with yays. So what else did you want to? What did you want to tell us was going to be on the show, Daniel?
Well, I was just going to explain my division boundaries, and I call it a premonition. But I thought it might generate some more discussion. So Central Indiana, all the way down to the Tennessee border, is part of the Central Indiana division.
Okay.
That's about 4.5 hours from the hub of the division.
Oh, we're not going to get into this. My division is so big, I can't get to the meetings. My division, I can't get to some of the meetings because I live 3 hours away, and I'm not going to drive for 3 hours to get to blah, blah, blah. Is that the discussion we're going to have? Boy, that is riveting.
Jeez. Good.
I've taken a little different take on it than that.
Oh, yeah.
Roger Coleman, who has been on the podcast before,
yes,
happens to be part of the Nashville division. I'm not sure what the proper name of that division is, but, comprises Nashville. And those guys are only an hour and a half from him. So I have suggested, hey, maybe you ought to check out another division. I know you're stuck in ours, but those guys are a lot closer and fun also.
Oh, so the Nashville is in your Central Indiana division?
No, but it's literally closer to those people than the division home area.
Brad, can I ask you a question?
Sure, Lionel.
Do you have any idea what he's talking about?
I think he's saying that the people in southern Indiana are closer to the central hub of the Nashville division,
southern Kentucky.
So how did Roger Coleman get dragged into this?
Because I met him on the Wednesday Patreon hangout, learned he's in Nashville, and said, "Hey, have I ever got some contacts for you?"
I'm really confused at this point.
Now, are we talking division or region?
Division.
Okay.
So what is it you're trying to say? That Roger is closer to your division than
the bottom end of it? Yes.
Than his own division?
The guy I have several guys that belong to the NMRA that live in southwest Kentucky. It is closer for them to drive to the Nashville division than to come up and see me in Central Indiana.
Okay. Because you only have your meetings in Central Indiana.
Generally, yeah. But it's a long drive for them.
Right. And is that because you don't want to you don't want you don't want to encompass the whole region, you can't, or the division, you can't.
Right. It's a challenge.
That it is.
Do you know a guy named Lauren James?
I think I've heard that name before.
Yeah. I don't understand what he's saying either. I have no idea what Lauren is talking about either most of the time. Okay, so I'm looking at a map here. So Indianapolis, Louisville is south of Indianapolis. Nashville's south of there. And somehow Roger Coleman would be better off to go to what division? Wyoming.
No. My guys that live in the Paducah, Kentucky, you can look that up on the map. Those guys
thank you.
Live closer to Roger than they live to me.
Right.
But they're in your division, but they're
in my division.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so is Roger at the nucleus of his division or something?
I think he's pretty close to the central part. I would imagine Nashville's kind of the center of that.
But you're not sure.
I'm not positive, no.
How about this? What do you think about this, guys, going forward? We'll ask the questions, and we'll see if Daniel can try to
I'm done suggesting. I'm going to behave.
I doubt that.
Me too.
It sounded good, though.
Yeah, I have a really strong feeling that that's not the case at all. So, Daniel, we first met you in Rochelle, Indiana. Yeah, Rochelle, Indiana. Yeah, Indiana, right?
Illinois,
yeah.
It was one of those I states. Rochelle, Illinois. And you had come to a couple of summers ago, a couple of years ago, you'd come to our picnic at Rochelle, Illinois.
Yep.
And I remember you sitting at the table at the dinner that first night, and you said to us, or it was either, I think it was the first night, and you said to us very innocently, "Geez, I couldn't decide whether to come or not. I couldn't decide whether you guys were going to be any fun or just a bunch of buttheads or what you were going to be. But it turns out you guys are okay after all." Is that kind of the way
it may have been something like that.
Okay, yeah. How did you find the podcast to begin with?
So, in order to tell you that, I have to tell you it came from another podcast.
Ooh. Whoa.
Yeah, one that I listened to before I listened to you guys, but they suggested you.
Then I have no problem with whatever podcast that was.
the Wiley scale modeling was HO Customs way back. Had mentioned you on one of their podcasts.
Yeah, that was a good podcast. They're not still going though, are they?
They are. They've started back up.
Oh, good. And what's it called?
Wiley's Scale Modeling. They've branched out from just model railroading.
Oh, have they?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, yeah. Our buddy David Start has talked to me about their podcast. He seems pretty good. I've actually thought about interviewing people in other hobbies too. Actually, I found a guy the other day. I forget what it was, modeling dioramas or something like that. And he had built a replica of the freighter, the Edmund Fitzgerald. And he also had made it in water. It was like spectacular, this thing. It was just absolutely gorgeous. And I thought, man, I'd love to talk to him. And then I thought to myself, Lionel, I says, why can't we talk to him?
Absolutely.
But then that would open a whole other can of worms of just the list would go from like 17.
Well, it does say a modeler's life, not a model railroader's life.
Absolutely, but it opens a whole other can of worms where the list goes from like 17,000 to 14 billion.
Yes.
Some of those little dioramas that I see guys making are amazing, aren't they?
Absolutely.
I saw one the other day. They did like a time lapse video of it as he was making it, and it was a submarine, like a World War II submarine. It was a U-boat as it was struck by a torpedo, and he had like the underwater explosion he used cotton to simulate that, and then had flashing LEDs in there, and then he poured some kind of what do they call that stuff that people use to make water, like an epoxy resin, and filled this little thing up with that, and it looked just like an underwater scene of a submarine taking a torpedo. It was amazing.
And do they still use that? Are people still using that 2-part epoxy to make water?
Yeah. Yep. There's Woodland Scenics has a new product now that works if you don't need a real deep pour. It's not 2-part. That's what I use for the 2 creeks I have on my layout. You have to be really careful with that stuff though, to get everything sealed up to hold it in place, because it takes a while for it to harden. And if you don't have everything sealed up, you come down the next day and it's all over the floor. Don't ask me how I know.
You've heard guys talk about it at meetings somewhere, obviously.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
It also heats up, so there's a potential for bubbles.
Yeah, you have to make sure you put a coat of latex paint if you use foam for your scenery. It will react with foam and makes bubbles in it, and it looks really bad if it bubbles. Yeah, you're right.
Bubbles.
But it has some kind of chemical reaction with like the blue foam insulation boards, and then that bubbles, and then it hardens, and you see a bubble. And
right now, I know exactly what Bruce is, the mailboy, is thinking, just like I am.
Yeah.
When we're talking, it makes bubbles.
I'm thinking champagne.
I'm thinking Trailer Park Boys.
Oh, or that too.
Now, there's a great question that we should actually get Bubbles on. Man, he'd be a great guest to have on just for fun.
The famous model railroader. He was a model railroader, of course.
He was a famous model railroader, and he played a model railroader on the show.
The Swayze Express.
Is that what it was called?
The Swayze Express, yes, the big competition.
What's that? The big competition?
It was the big model railroad competition he was going down to, and of course there was all sorts of other shenanigans involved. And I think that was the same episode. They stole it and they were using it to smuggle cigarettes or something under the river from the Canadian side to the U.S. side.
And then we could find out if Bubbles, the character Bubbles, ever used Rapido trains.
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
You see how I segued that in there?
Yeah, very smooth, smooth.
We are literally 26 minutes into this podcast and have made no headway whatsoever.
Jeez.
What a disaster. All right.
I'm not going to lie. That happens around me a lot. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no kidding. Do you know a guy named Lauren James?
Yeah, I think so.
Kirk Rust. Dioramas of all sizes, tips, tricks, and how-tos. And anyways, he made this scratch. It's a diorama of the Edmund Fitzgerald battling a November gale on Lake Superior. And it must have like 42 gallons of epoxy to make the water.
Oh, it's an amazing thing, isn't it?
Have you seen it?
I've seen it, yes.
Yeah. And do you check out Bruce, do you check out, Mailboy, do you check out every single Facebook page there is on the
have
planet?
So many Facebook pages I'm interested in. I could spend 48 hours a day trying to keep caught up between all the crap that Facebook thinks I want to see when I flag against that I don't want to see. But there's so many great diorama sites and modeling sites out there. These artists, so let's call them what they are. They are actually artists doing absolutely stunning and amazing work. And like you look at these, that one, the Edmund Fitzgerald, the waves breaking all around. I've seen others, U-boats out in the North Atlantic that waves all over them. It's absolutely amazing modeling that these guys do.
Yeah, I mean it's the same. There's plenty of model railroaders that do modeling of the same quality. Many model railroaders do modeling of the same quality, but it's primarily model railroading. But these you start to get into other, and this particular group, dioramas of all sizes, tips, tricks, and how-tos. Some of the stuff that's on there is just absolutely. What was that?
The hell was that? Somebody playing the piano or hitting their microphone.
Are you okay, Brad?
Yeah, I'm good.
Kelly?
I don't think that was from here.
No, I accidentally moved a wire and it hit the spring on my mic.
Oh, there you go.
How do you manage to make all kinds of noise?
There he goes again. He's trying out for a bass part somewhere in some band.
I'm trying out for the symphony to work with David.
Get the boys in the band back together or something, or what?
And now
I don't know. Maybe not quit your day job, sir.
And you know what we've discovered? You know what one question we've answered with this particular segment or this particular edition of the Modeler's Life podcast? Anybody would like?
We don't need Scooter to make excess noise?
No.
No.
Anybody? Anybody? Brad, would you like to take a guess?
I'm clueless on this one.
Yeah, I know that, but would you like to take a guess?
We've discovered that Kelly is a little bit clumsy with his microphone.
No. What we've discovered with this particular edition of Modeler's Life podcast This is why we have a free channel.
Ah, because no way in hell you could charge for this gem. Gotcha.
Oh, wow.
Not because of Daniel, primarily.
No. He's been absolutely wonderful.
Oh, wow.
Well, you kind of, we got.
I don't know if we can go wonderful. Let's recap.
Yeah.
He's complained about our snacks, and he's told us what we're going to talk about. And on
the plus side, he has been banging and making noise.
And he's confused the hell out of us about this whole Roger Coleman living in Nashville thing, which I still don't understand what it was he was trying to tell us. So Daniel, how long have you been a member of the NMRA?
Goodness. 5 years now?
Yeah, not very long, right?
No, I was doing operating sessions at the current superintendent's house and discussing why I didn't think it was necessary to join the NMRA and that I wouldn't get much of anything out of it because they weren't doing the things that I thought would necessarily be as much fun. I didn't really know. That was just my guess. And so he invited me to join and then said, well, if you have ideas on basically what we should be doing, you should put your money where your mouth is and run for office as soon as you join. And he says, I have appointments that I get to make to the board, so I can guarantee you win. And that's kind of what happened.
He could guarantee you would win?
Well, yeah, because if I lost the election, he would just appoint me for a year.
Well, of course you would.
Yeah, or the fact that nobody else is running.
Right.
So you mean the current superintendent at the time you joined, at the conversation
Correct.
time? Okay, because you are now the current superintendent.
Right.
Okay. Of the Central Indiana Division. You're the Central Indiana Division. I still haven't Googled that up yet. I still haven't. We've gone off on many different side tangents. NMRA. Let me type this in. NMRA, and then where do you go to find? There's the regions and divisions, and you slide down, and okay, you're part of the MCR, the Mid Central region.
No, Midwest region.
Oh, I knew that.
He's just testing your skill, your knowledge
right?
of your region and division.
Midwest region? Oh yeah, okay. Wow, You're right on the border between the Mid Central and the Midwestern region.
It's a fantastic place to be.
Is it?
It is. Within 2 hours, I can go do things in that other division or other region with 3 different divisions, all being a 2-hour drive from me.
Wow.
And your region encompasses all the way up to the tip of Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And all the way down to the border of Tennessee and Kentucky. Hey,
I think we've talked about that.
Hey, you know what, Brad?
What, Lionel?
Maybe Roger Coleman would be better suited to hook up with some of the guys from the Mid-Central region.
It's possible, yeah.
I feel like
interesting thought.
Yeah.
Lionel's a picture kind of guy. Like word pictures sometimes work, but in this case, he needed the hard graphic to.
I needed the hard graphic.
And now he sees, he's going, oh yeah.
Which is probably why you were hesitant to talk about what we talked about at the beginning, because you knew he was a visual learner, right?
Yeah,
that's
you go.
It. Yeah. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
So I see now I'm on the NMRA page. I'm on the Midwest region page. And the president is Bob McKeever, soon to be Daniel Banks, I'm guessing. And
not if I can help it.
Yeah. And I see Central Indiana Division, and it says beside it 2806. Does each division have a number of some sort?
Yeah, a lot of divisions go by that number, like the last digit of it. So the division in Cincinnati is Division 7, Louisville's Division 8. We're just different. I don't know why it was that way before I got there, but I like it.
No, but the Niagara Frontier region or all the regions seem to have numbers beside the divisions. Like in the Mideastern region, the New Jersey division is 3001.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. Did you, Bruce? You probably did.
I did know that the divisions have, and some go by that division number, as Daniel said. Others, they just say, no, we'll just call ourselves Central Ontario, whatever the hell number that division is. I don't know.
My division is number 1 in my region.
Yep. No, it can't be number 1. It has to. It's a 4. They all appear to be.
No, that's what they put. The Division 1.
It appears to be all 4-digit numbers.
Yeah.
Maybe because there's there's more divisions in the areas, not in the Northwest.
What division are you in, Kelly?
Division 1 of the Pacific Northwest.
Does it have a name?
Tunnel country or something like that. I think if I remember right. You got it in front of you. It should be on the.
Note to self: don't ever do these after drinking.
Note to self: don't ever do these without drinking.
Yeah, really.
Okay,
I
so
was going to say I'm in trouble if that's a new rule.
I'm looking at the Pacific. Well, I'm not talking about you guys.
Pacific Northwest.
Pacific Northwest region. And there's the southwestern Oregon, there's northern Oregon and southern Washington, the southern Idaho and eastern Oregon, western, and there was southwestern Oregon is number 2501.
Oh, okay. So it's all right. No, that's no. We always said Division 1 of the Pacific Northwest.
Well, okay, but as somebody referred, a lot of them, they all have these 4-digit numbers.
4 digits, right?
We've discovered tonight that again, this is why it's on the free channel.
That's right.
Are we at the Medford Airport?
Yeah.
No.
So Daniel, have you been on model railroad most of your life?
Yeah. My getting into the hobby starts just about like everybody else on the podcast with a train set as a kid with your name on it.
There you go.
That ran around a 4x8 sheet of plywood and at pretty much warp speed, and I got into adding lighting into structures. So we would flip out the garage lights and do some nighttime running. So and then it just kind of stuck. But I also grew up by the railroad tracks, so railroads have always been a part of my existence.
Stop making noise there, Kelly. Quit banging on the microphone, will you?
That wasn't me.
That was you. Absolutely.
No, I'm not.
Absolutely
I'm not even close to me.
I am not. I guarantee it absolutely was you.
No.
So you got a lot of Connie Jones Coy is a master model railroader 763. You got a lot. I see you guys are celebrating some master model railroaders.
Yeah. Last Thursday, I got to go do an evaluation on a person who did a prototype modeling certificate, and he passed, and that was the last one he needs. So he too will be a MMR soon.
Excellent.
One of the reasons I wanted to talk to you, Daniel, is because you seem to have a lot of enthusiasm. You got spunk. You got spunk.
Yeah.
A big mouth is what some people say.
Well, that too, but that's not the same thing, and there's no award for that.
Yeah.
So, okay, like how long have you been the superintendent of the division?
I'm on my 3rd year of my sentence.
So you joined the NMRA and quickly became the superintendent of the division.
Yeah, I think I've been in 6 years because I did 3 years as a board member, and then became the superintendent.
Okay.
So,
and what have you learned in that time about? So now you went to how old of a fellow are you, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I am 53.
Okay, so at the age of the ripe old age of 47 is when you joined the NMRA.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty quickly you were on the board of the division.
Right.
And so in this 6 years, what have you discovered? Because you originally thought there was no need to be part of the NMRA, and 6 years have passed. You've been the superintendent for 3 years. Like what is it that have you discovered that you realize the value of the NMRA?
So something that you guys have hammered multiple times lately over this last year, and that is just the fellowship. I was already hanging out with several NMRA members, but it was not as many as I associate with now. And it's just it's a really great group of guys. I enjoy getting together with them. We were at a train show today. My division does a train show the Saturday before Thanksgiving every year. It's a tremendous amount of fun, those interpersonal relationships. So the fellowship.
Yeah, and okay, so I'm interested in that because, we had our pal Derek Manata. How did you say it? Manata,
yeah. Magnata is, yeah.
I think Manata is better. It's like Phil Manat. He says he pronounces his name Phil Manat, and I say it's Phil Manet.
Manet, yeah, like the painter.
Yeah, exactly. It just comes off your tongue better. And from now, you know what? Why don't we just call him Steve Manata?
There you go.
Believe it or not, I'm actually enjoying this podcast. So where were we? Oh yeah, fellowship. So for Derek Magnata, when we were having our discussions with him, he seemed to feel like it was very hard to make these connections, which I think is an interesting discussion because I think for some people it is hard to make the connection. And not everybody is got a speak up kind of personality like you, Daniel. So what do you think is what is the best way for people to discover this fellowship?
I think the best way is to walk up to somebody and say hi.
But that's hard for that's really hard for a lot of people.
It is. It is a lot hard for a lot of people. I personally have no concept of the difficulty of that. Like an introvert, I can't even wrap my head around that. But I understand that it's very difficult for a lot of people. What we have to do as NMRA members is look for those people better. And instead of them having to come up and say hi, us go say hi. I don't think Derek's convention experience was people intentionally ignoring him. It's more often that fellowship that I haven't seen these guys in quite a while. They may be a different region and division, and I haven't seen them for 6 months. And so we're all visiting and chatting as you would expect. And sometimes it's easy to not notice the new guy or the person who's just not part of your group. And so it takes a really conscious effort to go say hi to those people and bring them in.
It does. I mean, that's what I think is the biggest stumbling block where we're at right now is, most people are not extroverts. I think most people have some a percentage of being an introvert. Like I'm an introvert when I go into a room and I don't know anybody. I'm not best example I can think of is last time I was at a funeral. I knew the person who we were, but I didn't really hardly know any of the people in this room of 80 people. I maybe knew 2 people, and it's really hard to just start shooting the poop with people.
Absolutely, I'll back you 100% of that. If I'm in a room with people I don't know, I will sit in the corner and look for the dog to play with.
Yeah. And I think that's a really big stumbling block for the NMRA right now. Going forward in this new world of trying to get people to connect, I think it's a huge stumbling block. And I'm fascinated. And Daniel, one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the podcast is I remember you were a very personable guy. I remember meeting you at Rochelle. I mean, I think is that the only time we've met in face to face?
No, I was at Amherst last year.
Oh yeah, and how'd that go? Did I make an impression on you? Because obviously
the same as always.
Yeah.
Well, right.
Actually, now I do remember you came up to the booth. Did you come out? Did you come to our pizza party?
I did not make the pizza party, but I did. I went to the wrong hotel to meet up with you guys because I didn't stay at the official hotel, and I was sitting at the wrong one for, I don't know, an hour or so waiting on people to arrive, and then realized through texting somebody, I think Scott maybe, that I was in the wrong place. Oh. And so I was there then for the ceremonial eating of the butter tart. And I came back Saturday evening and hung out. Friday evening, I did an op session at Amherst.
Okay. Are you going to Amherst this year?
I am. My wonderful wife is not attending with me, so I think I'm taking the train to get there and back.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
Nice.
Cool.
What train?
Burn less vacation days because I can work while I'm on the train.
Right. Because you work remotely.
Yes.
Right. Do the trains now have internet connection? I'm assuming they must. Everything does.
If not, I have cellular connection.
Okay.
I'm going to work remotely from the Fiesta on the way up. And drive. That's multitasking for you right there.
The four-door spec. The four-door spec.
Yeah, the four-door shopping cart. Yes.
And what is that? What's the top? What does that top out at? About 65 miles an hour?
I'm not sure. All I know is it goes faster than a Lexus SUV driven by a certain podcaster we all know and love.
I kept catching up and I'm pulling over.
You did not.
Brad, does it have Ringling Brothers on the side?
Yeah. If you open the door, 20 clowns roll out. Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah. So so this year, what hotel are you staying at?
I haven't booked one yet. I'm an Airbnb sort of guy, so I'll probably just grab something like that.
Right, because you don't want to be at the official AML hotel because you don't want to mingle.
No, I'm a cheapskate. I ain't gonna lie. Okay. But I do come hang out with you guys at the hotel. I just go home elsewhere in the evening.
I thought the room was only like $119 a night or something, Bruce.
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't.
That's either king or queen. Exactly.
Somebody ask a question.
No, it's your podcast.
Yeah.
I could volunteer. I've learned to not do that.
Yeah. Go ahead, Daniel.
Tell us about the models that you're looking to create, and
that's right. You've got a whole. You want to start a model building, a laser model kit business.
I do. I sold my first 3 kits today at the show.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it was great. I was up till 3 a.m. getting those things packed and instructions finished, and I now have a profound admiration for anybody who takes a product, gets it in a box, and puts it on a shelf for sale. I've learned that's when you're doing that as one individual, that's not an easy process.
That's true. That's very true.
Anything like that, once you start doing it on your own, like try sending out T-shirts once a year.
I will never give you grief again, sir.
I don't think you've given me grief yet, have you?
Well, I just wrote that one AI letter.
Oh, okay.
for G4.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You were being hilariously funny, and you generated a letter through an artificial intelligence.
Uh-huh.
And again, this is why we're on the free channel.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your kit making company called?
Wabash Models.
And the website is
wabashmodels.com, and if you go there, there's just my logo because I haven't officially opened that yet, but the placeholder's there.
Okay. And you don't have a website because you don't want people to find out about your models, or?
This was more of a soft sell to kind of test the waters, figure out my production environment, which is currently not good. So I'm moving some things around before throwing the doors open and saying, "Hey, I'm fully open for business," and getting blasted out of the water.
What did you just say?
My shop is in my basement currently, and it's not a good place for it. I bought a 12 by 16 yard shed that's going to be half my production studio. I've not moved into that yet, but before I start selling more kits, I will definitely get out there. The family was not a fan of me working late last night. I wasn't a fan of having to do it down here. So that's why there's not a site yet. I'm still testing the waters.
Your family was not a fan of you packing up kits last night?
Well, while I was laser burning, I kept setting off a smoke detector.
Oh man.
You get a little bit better ventilation going there, pal.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, exactly.
So your laser cutting, you were only laser cutting the kits last night that you were going to sell the next day?
Yeah, finishing up the production on them. I had some aspects of it done, but I had a little bit left to do.
Yeah,
As it turns out, it's kind of
kit.
Well, I was figuring out the dimensions to the roof, and if I had understood Bruce's principle on it, it would have been a lot easier.
This is getting better as we talk.
It can't get much worse.
So you were only just last night trying to figure out the roof dimensions?
Yeah, that was the last piece of it I had to do. It really wasn't very hard. So it's a 3-angled roof, and it was just I'd already did the test build up to that point, so it was just grabbing the calipers, measuring it, cutting it, and going.
Okay. Wow, you sound like you're lazier than I am.
I enjoy a deadline.
Yeah.
It would have been easier, but it snowed here on Thursday.
I'm trying to understand here. You're going to a train show. You're starting a kit building company, and you're really the night before. You're just You're just trying to figure out that sounds like even worse than me when I was in high school doing homework. Like I would at least, I'd be a little farther longer than that. Like, what did you put the kits in? A Ziploc bag or something?
No. Candy boxes are the typical kit box.
Okay. And where did you get your candy boxes?
Uline.
Oh, okay. And so what was the kit of? So do you have a Facebook page? Does your kit company have a Facebook page?
It does, but you won't find much more than what you found at the website there. It's in staging. So it's a 14 by 14 shed that you might find at a mine, at an industrial area, or in somebody's backyard. So it's a very versatile kit.
Right, and you decided, how long ago did you decide you were going to start making laser cut kits?
A couple of years ago, actually, that I might want to do that. So I've spent the last couple of years traveling around the Midwest and the East, grabbing photos of interesting structures. I enjoy freelance kit designers. I love this stuff, but I've also found that there's an amazing amount of the prototype that is really worthy of modeling. I do have a Facebook page that's called Begging to be Modeled, and it is a
is that your page?
It is my page.
I did not realize that. That's a great page.
There's all kinds of good stuff in there.
There is.
Did you
I've just been collecting.
Did you just wake up, Bruce, or something?
Oh, no, I've been following that website or Facebook page for a long time. Because all sorts of great things. I never realized that was Daniel's page.
Well, had you met Daniel before now?
Only on chats on the Patreon, but I don't think we've ever talked about his Facebook page.
Begging to be modeled, or BTBM.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I didn't start it. I inherited it.
And it's a private group. Another one of these private groups. Let's sell stuff, but don't let anybody buy it.
Well, I happen to know that the guy who lets you in is really lax on being a hard nose about that. So I let just about anybody in,
as long
as you don't look spam. Right? See, it's a low bar.
So how do you join the group then? You gotta send a request. Oh man, I hate that. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's the standard way. I'm not a fan of it either, but
it keeps the spammers out.
It does not keep the spammers out. There's hardly any spammers on the fans.
Oh no, that's how I got that page. Was because it was overrun
by being a spammer?
No, it was being overrun with spam, fake posts and things like that. And the guy who originally started it and ran it threatened to just shut it down because he didn't have time. And I'm like, I think I can fix that problem. And so I did, and now we don't have a problem with that anymore. It's not just through the making the page private, but once you've done that, whether you were happy with the result or not, you're stuck with it.
Yeah. So why not just start a whole new page then?
Just because there's so much stuff there that would be lost.
Okay. Bill's Mafia is a public page. I don't buy that whole. There's tons of spam on pages. I just don't buy that. I don't see that. I don't see it on the fans page at all. We hardly have any spam. I think
that's because the bots catch a lot of that shit and keep it out.
Right. So why wouldn't bots catch it on other ones then?
Because some people don't use the bots and some people detest the bots. The other thing, taking it private, it means that only people for that or belong to that group can post. Otherwise, anybody out there can post on that your page, whether you want or not. Then you're looking at running bots or approving posts and all that thing. When Facebook changed their subs, the first thing I did with the groups I run, we took them all private just to keep control of it and keep the riffraff out. And you got to ask a couple questions to get in, and then it's pretty much away you go. And if you post something we don't like, you get it banned and you're done.
Very restrictive. Making it private is very restrictive. What bots do we have on the fans page?
Ask Peter. He went through a whole bunch the other day that caught a whole pile of legit and not legit stuff. So
yeah, but he has.
Yeah, I still have to sort legit stuff and approve it.
But Peter's only been involved. Peter Borchert has only been involved with the page for like the last month and a half. The page has been going for like 7 years. I think it's like the headlight for DCC stuff. People create problems that don't exist.
I was probably getting 10 posts a day that were spam and garbage that way.
Really?
But you can use the AI tools. If I knew then what I know now and how to do that, I wouldn't have turned it private.
Brad?
Yes, Lionel.
Are you still there?
I'm here, yep.
The Iron City N Scale guys.
Yeah.
Private or public?
I think we're private. I think you have to answer questions to join.
Oh, okay.
I think so.
All right. Well, I'll put that to bed then. I guess I just don't understand Facebook.
Well, you must have answered the questions when you joined Iron City.
I guess I just don't understand the world being afraid of their shadows or something. I don't know. I don't understand that stuff, and I don't intend to ever. It is a private group.
To be honest, I don't. I think Pat and Kevin take care of that end of it. I don't know too much about that. Yeah. Like, I'm not even sure what you have to do to make it unprivate, but.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, anyways, is there anything else to talk about? Daniel, is there other stuff you'd like to talk about?
Sure.
Okay, go.
Today, I at the train show, because it's not just a train show, interesting people pop in. And so today, the Purdue University Model Railroad Club was there. All college age. Most of us guys are a little beyond that. And we're going to be working with them, sponsoring some of the layout build that they are doing. They had to dismantle the old layout and move to a new area in the university. And so we're looking for, because I think this fits well, the topic there, we're looking to make bridges with that younger generation that are lasting with the university. So as they come and go, we are still there working with the new students that come in. And so really looking forward to that. We had a nice conversation with them today, and we're working with their faculty advisor.
Wasn't Tony Custer a member of that club back in the day? I thought
he was, yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy how many people that I've told were working with them, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I was part of that," or I saw that layout back in 1962, or yeah, it's there's a lot of people been through there.
Mm-hmm. Purdue's engineering school, isn't it?
Right.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, engineering types would belong to a model railroad club, I think.
The Boilermakers.
Yeah, Boilermakers. And the Monon Railroad shops were very, very close there. So.
Okay. Well, the point of this particular podcast is to introduce Daniel Banks and Craig Drenko, or Cow. We're going to interview him, and we're going to put these two interviews together and make a all-star variety hour.
Oh,
Nice.
Cool. It's been a while since we've done one of those, isn't it? Hasn't it been?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Daniel, what do you do for a living?
I'm an IT guy.
Okay.
That's a big. I love it when IT guys say, "I'm an IT guy."
Yeah.
I've done a little bit of a lot. Currently, I'm a software support guy for an automotive company.
All right.
Can you say which one?
No, he can't.
I'm not gonna.
No, he
Okay.
can't. He can't because it's top secret. He can't possibly.
Okay.
He can't possibly say General Motors or Ford or.
It's a secondary market company, so
AMC or
And he's still working, so it's not Tesla.
Lada.
right.
Or Lada. Why would he not be working if it was Tesla?
Oh, they laid off a lot of people.
Oh, okay. Well, lots
They have the highest market cap value of any car company in the world, though. Right now,
They have the highest market what?
like their market, not market cap. They have the highest value of their company of any car company in the world.
Oh, yeah? That's
Yeah, I just read that the other day. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. All right, we're going to go on to the next segment now, which is going to be Craig Drenkow. Thank you, Daniel, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you,
guys.
It's great meeting you, Daniel.
Yeah.
For another
you too.
time.
Yeah, just wait till I finish talking.
Sorry.
This is just your first foray into being on the podcast, but I wanted to get, I thought it'd be kind of cool to get some people that are regular listeners on the podcast, on the podcast. So, we're going to go into the next segment, which is, also sponsored by Rapido Trains.
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
And, Kelly, do you know what to do now?
Yes, you want the email.
Nope.
Nope.
Not even close.
Not even close.
Subway chimes.
Oh, Subway chimes, go. I forgot about that. It's been a while since they've done that.
10 years.
Yeah, 10 years.
So what'd you think of that one?
I think if we spend another hour and a half, you might understand roof pitch.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think I'll ever understand roof pitch. You know what it is? I've told this story before. I have an angry spot in my heart for roofs and pitch because I've told this story that when I was 13 years old, my dad insisted that he had to have some land. So we moved from Toronto proper to he bought a couple acres outside of Toronto, about 30 miles northeast of Toronto, in a little town called Stouffville, Ontario. And then it was nothing would do, but we were going to build our own 20 by 30 foot or 20 by 40 foot shed / garage. And it was all going quite well until we tried to build the roof.
Uh-oh.
And there was much consternation on my father's part of trying to get this roof right. I remember that.
Did you learn any new words that day?
Well, it wasn't a day. It was probably over a period of about 3 weeks. Because he could not he wanted to hand make the trusses as well as everything else. Right. He was building this thing from scratch. As far as we dug the holes, we poured in the cement, the footings, we did it all, man. And nothing would do, but he was going to build the trusses himself. And we fought with that for quite some, I would say, two to three.
That'd be back in the time, though, where you'd be hand building trusses. You wouldn't be getting ready-made trusses brought in for most jobs. It'd all be framed up on site.
Well, it's kind of a one of those childhood blurs / black days that, how kids.
I'd like to forget this ever happened if I could.
Yeah, one of those deals. And so there was much consternation. I remember it taking about 3 weeks until he finally figured out what he was doing wrong. And that's when I learned the lifelong lesson that I've lived by ever since is when you can't figure something out, when things aren't going your way, just stop doing whatever it is you're doing. Because you should be able to at least establish in your mind that what you're doing isn't working. So stop doing it. Please, I'm begging you, just stop doing it. So that's what we did. We stopped. And
you sought professional help.
Yeah, no, he eventually figured he was one of these guys.
All right.
Yeah, he was one of these guys. He built his own. He hand built his own radios. He was that's probably where I got all my model railroading instinct to build stuff. He was just one of these. I'll build it. I'll do it. And he loved building stuff and tinkering. He built me a really cool radio once because he was taking some class about electronics, and so he built me this really cool radio on I don't know. It's probably the size of a sheet of paper, 8.5 by 11 base, aluminum base. And with the tubes and everything, because this is
the soft glow of electric.
Radio. This is the mid 60s, and so it had tubes and everything. But all he did was put a plywood front on it, and he had some big knobs and stuff. And so I can remember laying in bed, listening to this thing, watching the tubes glow, and usually trying to dial in the Chicago Blackhawks versus the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Oh, there you go. Late at night.
Yep, and sometimes you could get it.
And I remember Windsor used to be able to get WBZ out of Boston.
Oh, really?
During the nighttime, we could get that coming in.
I never got Boston. Chicago was the one I could always get.
Yeah, we could. I forget Wolfman Jack was on.
Oh, Wolfman Jack.
Yeah, he was out St. Louis or Iowa. He was out in the Midwest somewhere there. He could get his show after night as well.
Did he ever mention Rapido trains?
Your fast track to model railroading fun?
Rapido trains, your fast track to model railroading fun.
I can't understand it. We're talking about Rapido trains, yeah.
and of course Wolfman Jack was very famous DJ.
Exactly.
So anyways, that's it. That's our show, man. That's our all-star variety hour with only Daniel Banks, and some 50% of the audio is fabulous. 50% of the audio is marginally adequate.
Well, there you go. You win some, you lose some.
Yeah, that's pretty much where it's at. And I quite enjoyed myself. So what we're going to do is we're going to have Daniel back on, and we got to get Craig on here, because that audio, I went to work on that audio, and the overmodulation was like painful.
Oh.
So basically, the show for the last month has been nothing but practice sessions of me trying to figure out this software.
Well, it's something.
And in actual fact, I think it's better. I think the software is better. I think it produces better sound. But I believe they may have rolled it out just a teeny tiny bit too early. And and it seemed to be a bit buggy. So that's where we're at. Let me see. Hang on here. Wolfman Jack, American DJ. Yeah. Born January 21st, 1938. Robert Weston Smith, known as Wolfman Jack, was an American disc jockey active for over 3 decades, famous for his gravelly voice, which he credited for his success, saying it kept meat and potatoes on the table for years. There you go. And a couple of shots of whiskey helped also.
Yeah, I like that part.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Wolfman Jack passed away at the age of 57.
Yes, he went way too early.
Yeah. Let's see. To help keep him out of trouble, his dad bought him a large transoceanic radio, and he became an avid fan of R&B music and the disc jockeys who played it, including Douglas Jocko Henderson of Philadelphia, New York's Dr. Jive, the Moondog from Cleveland, Alan Freed, who's very famous in the history of rock and roll, and on and on and on. Now, that's kind of like the birthplace of rock and roll, isn't it? Cleveland?
Cleveland. That's why the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is there.
Yeah, exactly. All right. And if you're ever passing through, you should stop in at the local hobby shop and see if they have any Rapido trains.
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
Rapido trains, your fast track to model railroading fun.
I apologize to everybody that the audio wasn't better, but it was very listenable. This is the free channel. You get what you get. Most of the time, it's quality. I would still say that this show was quality. Just wasn't up to my particular standards. The guest was great. The hosts were great. The audio was passable. That's where we're at.
There we go. That's all right.
Yeah, could you give out our email address, please, and thank you?
Yes, our email address. Send us emails. We'd love to get your emails. We'll eventually read all your emails. It's kind of like the where's my T-shirt contest is where's my email going to be read contest, but we will get to them, and you'll show up at some time on viewer mail. Anyhow, you can send us an email at I forgot, it's been so long.
Modeler's Life.
Modeler'slife@gmail.com. That's modelers with one L like Wolfman, not two L's like Rochelle.
There you go. Perfect. And if you didn't catch that email address, if you go to our website, amodelerslife.com, and scroll down a little bit on the picture of the moderately agitated mailboy in a particularly agitated state, boom, all you got to do is click on the picture, and the email address is already filled in, and all you do is put in your subject and your text and hit send. And
what could be easier?
What could be easier? And Bruce, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Have you ever thought of buying a T-shirt with a hot dog on it?
I have thought about that. Just haven't pulled the plug on it yet. So I'll have to get around to that. I've had T-shirt with actual hot dog on it when I was eating one, and it kind of fell and made a mess. But I've never had one with a illustration of a hot dog on it.
Okay. Well, if you go to Midwest Model Railroad, and their URL is midwestmodelrr.com, and go across the navigation bar to other, and hit the drop-down menu, and you'll see AML Shop. And in there, boom, boom, you're in a wonderland of AML merchandise. Hats, hoodies, T-shirts, mugs, whatever you could possibly need. And in there, you'll find a T-shirt with a hot dog on it.
There you go.
And also, when you're done shopping in the AML merchandise shop for all your fabulous AML merchandise, you can go back to the full website, and boom, man, they have a huge selection of Rapido trains.
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
If it's N, if it's H-O, the fast track is Rapido.
Not unlike our pals over there at Otter Valley Railroad.
Yes.
And their URL is what, OVR.com?
OVRtrains.com.
OVRtrains.com.
Yeah. And they recently updated their website. It is very easy to get around on now.
Yeah, it's a great website. Over there at Otter Valley Trains in Tilsonburg.
My back still aches when I hear that word.
I just got a very odd text from for the professor telling me he just got in the shower. And now he's going.
That's TMI, man.
Yeah, too much information.
Send it back. Pixar didn't happen.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to do that right now.
We may get something useful out of this.
Yeah, Pix, or it didn't happen. I love it.
What warped minds we have.
Yes, exactly. Oh, well, what we didn't talk about is Springfield. Are you going to Springfield?
The plan is yes, but I don't know if I'll be able to make it.
Okay.
I'm having some issues with my back again, which is causing me some grief and pain for shuffling around. But I've seen the chiropractor a couple more times before that. But it'll be kind of like a last second thing if I go or not.
If you can.
The last time I was there wasn't much like, well, you and I were sat in the chairs all day long and took 20 minutes to go over to the can, which is like a 3-minute trip because we couldn't walk. So
that's right. That's gonna be me again this year because I'm even worse off than I was last year. But I'm even so bad off this year. I'm taking a walker.
Are you?
With wheels. I got a sweet ride. It's a sweet ride. It's got a seat.
Oh, one of the ones with the seat and the brakes on and all that stuff.
Yep.
You know what's good about that? You probably have hooks or some place you can fasten bags full of Rapido trains on and take them around.
There you go. Not a bad idea. Put some stickers on it and away we go.
Yeah. Put some AML stickers on there.
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. So where are we at? Okay. So we did the email address. We talked about the T-shirts.
Email address.
Yes. So if you want to listen, if you enjoyed this podcast, and we're sure you did because the guest was great.
Absolutely.
The host was great. If you really enjoyed this podcast and you'd like to have some more, if you go to our Patreon site and for just a few cents a day, you'll get twice as much podcasting because every Tuesday we also have a show that's on our paid channel. And if you move to the T-shirt level, boom, you have now entered the game. Hey, dude, where's my T-shirt? And that's a game that's sweeping the globe because everybody gets their shirt. There's just no guarantee when you get your shirt. Although I did mail out a bunch more today. So I am slowly getting semi-organized on that. And we appreciate everybody that belongs to the Patreon channel because it just helps keep the old podcast rolling along. And let's see what else we got to talk about. I think we pretty much covered it.
Right together, we got yeah, we got her.
All right. Well, I hope you do go to Springfield.
Yeah, so do I, but we'll see.
Yeah, you can't go. You can't go if you can't go.
Yeah, it's and I'd love to go, but it's going to be that I'm restricted to what I can do and not have a lot of fun. Then we'll do her again next year.
Okay, that's it. We're just killing everybody now. We're boring them to death. So remember, a Modeler's Life podcast is considered marginally adequate by 6 out of 10
fans of Wolfman Jack.
Modeler's Life is sponsored by Because I Love Sushi. You could love any old sushi, but would it love you back?
It's another Lincoln Homer.